What's up? Today, I'm going to show you how to make a DJ mix in Ableton. Okay, so what is a DJ mix? If you don't know what a DJ mix is, I don't know what to tell you. You shouldn't be a DJ. But what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be showing you guys start to finish how I made my most recent mix and the effects, as well as any sort of like layout and tricks I used to achieve the sounds that I wanted to make it sound as realistic to a standard mix that I was doing live. Now, some people who are purists might be sitting there and do the whole like, oh, well, why aren't you actually mixing your mix live and recording on Serato and doing all this, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. So starting off here, I just have the DJ drop into the regular intro that I have, which is one of my own edits here. And just so you guys see here, I have everything kind of operating like it would on a Serato beat grid. Everything's horizontal the whole way across, all the way down throughout this entire mix. And I just have it following on the half count because I wanted the first section of the and one to come through. And then from there, I pretty much just followed the grid the whole way across the mix, and I have it quantized. And then all the tracks warp with the BPM changes, which I'll show you guys.
And one. Don't stop, pump that, don't stop, pump that, pump that, pump that, pump.
So standard, I just put the two over top of each other, and then I'm writing this edit the whole way through, and then at about the halfway point here at the end of the phrase, I go into a different edit here. Yeah, it's the Surge Sniper edit, which is like a dope mashup on heavy hits. You guys should definitely go get it if you don't have it.
Hey, somebody tell them niggas that it's over. You know it's baby, nigga.
So I just put them on the same audio track because I ended up just doing a little crossfade, just like a simple crossfade, so there wasn't any sort of clicks and pops, and then that was good to go. Think of it kind of like cue jumping here. Like I chopped up the edit a little bit later on too, just because I didn't want to play the whole song, and I wouldn't if I was DJing it because it's just too long. So think of it like your cue points almost, like when you're chopping this up. So I chopped it up, and then I just moved this section a little bit further, crossfaded, same jazz here. And then what did I do here? So I just had the instrumental with the outro here, and then I did it almost like I was playing with the volume faders up and down, or like doing a crossfader, cutting over and just soloing one section. So I had them over top of each other, quantized, perfectly on beat, and then I just cut out the sections that I would cut out if I was DJing on a mixer with the faders. And then on this, I actually have a delay effect and an EQ3, which I didn't realize I did here, but this is actually a good thing for you guys to see. So if you want to emulate what you're doing on a mixer, an EQ3 is a better choice than an EQ8 in my opinion, just because it is very similar to the three knobs that you would have on a mixer with your high, mid, and low, because this reflects the same thing. So if you want to automate your knobs like you're cutting out the entire low end of a section, you can just click Show Automation by right-clicking over the gain low, and then I put Show Automation, and then I just had the section where I just cut the entire low end out. And what's even nicer about the EQ3 is that you can select what frequencies down you would like to cut out. So it says frequency low, 150 hertz and lower. Or you can even crank it all the way up to 2,000 hertz and lower, and it'll cut that section off. And then delay, think of it like any delay or echo effect that you're using on a mixer. I just had it set to 1. I usually do 1, 2, or 4. And then I usually do the dry wet around 40, 45%. And then I just had it turn on here at the end just to add a little more distance, like I was cutting something out on a mixer. So you hear that little like delay effect. Moving on here, I think I didn't do any effects here, just the standard like switching of the faders.
Okay! 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 What? Okay! You wind up, nigga, I don't give a fuck. Second your ass, nigga, bitch, I don't
a very aggressive song. Like I've said in the past, I have reverb sends that I use for pretty much everything. I have a long reverb send here, and all I did was I just cranked the reverb up a little bit at the end of this transition. Just to add a little more distance to the sound. So if you don't have a reverb send, just use a standard reverb effect and then adjust your dry, wet, decay time, all that jazz how you see fit. And I actually used the acapella here to make a little acapella out edit. And then I used reverb again and played with the levels to make sure it sounded similar and it didn't sound rough coming in or out.
I don't give a fuck. Shaking your ass in the club, bitch. I don't give a fuck. Drinking Chris in the BI. I don't give a fuck. Talking shit about me, bitch. I don't give a fuck.
We don't get no fuck. No, we don't get no fuck.
Kind of fire wordplay. I think it's pretty nifty, if I do say so myself. And then I wanted to go into an acapella. Yeah, I wanted to go into an acapella out edit. Shout out JK for making this. He makes really good DIY acapellas. So does Mighty for heavy hits. They're fantastic. So I just did, like I did earlier, just a crossfade on the two to join them together here. So it just sounded seamless. I didn't do any effects here either. I just let it ride because it was an acapella out.
And we run shit. I got too many diamonds on, I look awesome. Ice. Get right. Yeah, after I hit that hoe, she need a walker. Get right. I done shook them problems off, now I'm bossing. Get right. Yeah, stack the money, go. Let's go. Cash on me, like I hit the lottery.
Okay, I lied. So I did use an effect, but I didn't see it at the end of the chain. So I put a delay at the end. Same thing, like I said, I set it 40-40, and then I just turned it on and off with the on button. And if you need a reminder on how to do that, you just right click on that yellow button on the top and then click show automation. And then you can just turn your effect on and off as you see fit. And then I did a lot of chopping here because I wanted to do a word play at the end of lottery with the word go. And it's a go DJ. So
go.
So I just grabbed the sample I wanted, chopped it up, and then I played with the fades. Just to cut that little end out so there wasn't any pops. So you guys will hear it here.
Grown ups, in between, churning babies. Right about now, it's your boy, you heard, back again, fresh.
And you can see even we're almost like a third of the way through this mix already. I'm still on grid with everything that I'm doing. So make sure you're checking as you go. If you do go a little bit off grid, just make that adjustment as you go in your head. But I'm still on grid this entire mix. And then at the end here, I have an acapella out of Go DJ. And I actually did a little bit of a volume fade here. I wanted to drop the volume a little bit because I was bringing in Whoopty. And it comes in a little bit quiet. So I just dropped the volume a little bit, just so it sounded a little bit smoother on the transition. So if you want to automate the BPM on your mixes, you just right click on the tempo in the top left section, hit show automation, and then you just set the points. Like just think of it like your tempo slider, like you have on your mixer. It's the same thing. And you got to make sure too, if you're doing these BPM transitions, make sure you have warping on your tracks. And you want to make sure these mastered songs that you're putting over top of each other are warped to Complex Pro. So then it doesn't have any like these weird chops. It doesn't sound grainy. That's what Complex Pro warping is used for. It's for long processed audio.
Go DJ, that's my DJ. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Go DJ.
DJ N1, Richmond, Virginia. What we doing? Whoop it, bitch, I'm outside of some movie. Blue cheese, I swear I'm addicted to blue cheese.
And from here, I have like another edit that I threw in over top of it. I liked using mashups a lot and like different types of edits just to spice up my mixes more. And it was just sounding a little bit rough. Like it just sounded so weird. Like if I did a standard Q jump on a mixer, it would sound so sudden. So I just threw a little cymbal transition, like just any sort of transitional effect that you can get on Splicer and like a Reach the Font pack. Those are great for when you're working on a mix because it just adds that little bit of cushion that you need so it doesn't sound so like sudden.
I'm sick of that group, Chris.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it. Stop blowing my buzz, quit killing it. so buy another round and try to shut us down about an hour ago. But we still in this bitch. We still in this. We still in this bitch.
So you get the gist there. I didn't want to use a reverb or anything because I was blending the two together with a crossfade, so I just threw a little effect over top and it was good to go. And then I went into an acapella out here.
About an hour ago, but we still in this bitch. We still in this. We still in.
So just a standard acapella out with a delay at the end, like I've been doing this entire mix so far. And then I did a BPM change here again, where I pick up the tempo after the wordplay happens. So I go from 72.5 back up to 82. So I just keep adjusting as I'm going.
We still in this bitch. We still in this. We still in this bitch. We still in this. We still in this bitch. We still in this. We still in this bitch. DJ Khaled. Bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up nonstop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, yeah. Cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah. I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up nonstop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, yeah. Cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah. I'm a pop star, not a doctor.
There is literally no way I don't get flagged for copyright on this video.
Not a doctor.
And then standard crossfade, and I added a reverb send here, or the reverb effect, and then I just increased it on my side just for the transition because I don't want to be using the same effect over and over and over again. I do tend to use echoes and delays a lot. Yes, I know, but I used reverb on this one just to switch it up.
I got a key. 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 I just got the key, they let me in, no ID. Doors opening up for me and now I see. I've been blind for a while now.
So another great edit here that helped me with my transition. It was E1's edit. It's a great like wordplay acapella in, and then I just ran that the whole way through. I didn't do any EQ work here on the transition because those acapella ins you don't really need to do too much because you're going over top of an instrumental. There isn't a lot of low end on these vocals as it is, so you don't have to worry about those conflicting frequencies. And I pretty much rode this the whole way through because I actually really liked this song, and I ended up doing another wordplay transition into Stunned on You, but then I used the old Birdman Lil Wayne song Stunned Like My Daddy. This turned out a lot better than I thought it would. And all these acapellas that I've been getting, by the way, I think I got all of my acapellas for this mix on acapellasforyou.co.uk. I know I talked about that site and that I use Vocler as well, but for all of these ones, I used Acapellas For You for this one, so shout out to them.
On the Yamaha, chromed out 1100. What I'm doing, getting money. What we doing, hitting what they doing, hating on us, but they never cross. Cash money still a company, and bitch I'm the boss. And I be stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy. I be stunning like my daddy. I'm the young stunner, stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy. I be stunning like my daddy, and I be stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy, stunning like my daddy. I be stunning.
On you.
So good. But on this acapella here, I actually did use an EQ8 just because it did sound kind of like a DIY acapella. So I just rolled off that low end because there still was the instrumental out there and there was like the 808s and kicks going on. So I just rolled off the low end here on this entire acapella. I threw a little reverb on there too because it sounded a little dry. And then at the end, I used a delay effect to help with the transition. So kind of a lot going on there. I also threw a tempo change in as well because this song, Stunned on You, is a lot faster than Blind. So at the end of the transition, I did my BPM change. And I think I only have like 2 more tracks after this. It's pretty simple transitions, honestly. It's just understanding all of your automations and what goes where in the lanes. Just think of like if you're actually DJing, think about how you would be doing it live and then just do that on Ableton. So I grabbed the instrumental here and then I just did a crossfade over like I would if I was doing a Q jump or if I was scratching the instrumental in. Same concept here. And then I just threw the acapella in on top of it. And you'll see all of my EQ automations later when I transition into the original song that is sampled here.
I'll be a freak until the day, until the dawn. And we can all through the night till the early morn. Come on and I will take you around the hood on a gangsta lane. 'Cause we can, any time of day, it's all good for me.
I'ma be a freak anytime I place, any day of the week. Said I'ma let you hit it, I ain't scared, I ain't shy.
Sounds good to me. I just chopped up the hi-hat here on this instrumental just because I still wanted a little bit more of a groove on the transition. And it's really difficult to kind of like capture that like 1/32nd, like 1/16th count on a mixer if you don't have the loop already set. So that's what's nice about doing it in Ableton is you can just chop it up and then hit Command D and just duplicate it a bunch. And then I did a BPM change just to bring it back up to speed. And then onto the last transition here, it was just a lot of EQ work and a little bit of reverb at the end of the mix, and that was it. Here I wanted to, since the this is like the song that is sampling it going into the original sample is kind of the transition that I was doing here. So they have a lot of the same frequencies, so I did a lot of EQ cutting. So I ducked all of the low end out here, like right when I put the tracks over top of each other, and then halfway through I just reduced a little bit of the mid-range just to help it kind of breathe more and bring that track down and sort of hinting that I was like segueing into the next one, which is what I would do on a mixer. Usually I'd like start with my low end and then I maybe will play around with the mid end if I'm doing like a lot of EQ work in a mix. So, and then I usually go for like the hi-hats and highs last. And then I even did an auto filter like I would if I was filtering out just to really sort of chop everything off and then just let it perfectly segue into the original song that was sampled. And also just like, I'm going to play this whole thing, but watch the EQ and then watch the auto filter with the automation. You'll see how quick the automations take place. That's it. I just let that track ride the whole way out, put a little reverb on the end just to let it kind of like fade out. And the mix was done. And then like I usually do with all my other edits, I played with the limiter a bit, added a little bit of gain, and then adjusted the release. I tried to make the release a little bit shorter on these because these are already like fully mastered tracks, and then a lot of them have some variation in their volume, which I try to adjust as I'm going through, but I try not to have the limiter be crushing it too much with the release, so I keep it at a pretty short release on the mixes. All right, ladies and gents, hopefully you learned something new. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Tell a friend, and I'll be back next week with another video. I'm forgetting what that video is again because I'm a idiot. Oh yeah, next week I'm going to show you guys how to do rework edits. So next week I'll show you guys how to put your own like little flavor on it just to change up a song. Maybe it's a little bit slow, maybe you want to add some drums, maybe a different like melody or bass line. I'll show you guys how to make your own reworks, and then eventually we're going to get to the point where you guys can start kind of chipping away at your own remixes in a sense. So that'll be pretty cool to see. But until then, take it easy, tell someone you love them, all that good stuff, and I'll be back soon.